leaders shape culture. There's no question as to whether or not leaders shape culture. The only question is, how do they shape culture? And by how, I don't mean functionally. It's influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. And if you have influence, then you shape culture. You shape the culture in the little pockets that you hang out with, the friends and the family. You shape the culture in your own household. Yes, even if it's just you and your 97 cats or you and your 4 dogs, you shape the culture. Your attitude, your mood, your demeanor, your thought processes, they all shape culture. And the more people you're around, the more characters you enact with, that interaction, it's influence. And the more influence you have, the more culture you shape. And the more culture you shape, the more impact you have in the world around you. It's not a matter of if or functionally how, but it's how intentionally do you shape culture? That's the question for today. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. And it dawns on me that many people don't realize the impact or the influence that they have on the culture around them. It's almost like they're oblivious to the fact that every time they open their mouth, every time they make a move, every time they choose a book, every time they read the book and then talk about the book, that people around them are like those ripples in a pond. Every thought, every change of direction, every buying or selling of a car. I recently was talking to a friend who bought a new C8 Corvette. Well, he and another friend of his had been talking about this new Corvette for about 4 years. We should buy one. You go first. I want to hear your review on it. And they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, one came available at the right time of the year for a buyer to get it. And so friend A actually went and bought the car. And when friend B found out about it, he was really upset that they didn't go together. I was like, what are we, shopping for prom dresses or something? Why would he be upset about it? Well, the truth of the matter is, friend A actually got his hands on one. And even though he had to pay a little bit above sticker price to get his hands on it, because of the shortage of cars and silicone chips right now, he bought the car that the other one wanted. All the right colors, all the right features, all the right upgrades, everything you could possibly want in this car. And when friend B went to order one, they told him, well, it could be as much as 24 months. And if you order it now, even if we put your deposit down, even if you've already started making payments on it, when it arrives, if the design has changed from what it is right now, you will get a brand new C8 Corvette, but it may not look like they look right now. It'll be whatever the newer body style is. He's like, that's not what I want. I mean, it's bad enough to have to wait 2 years to get it, but I don't want that. Okay, so what does all that have to do with influence? Well, a buying decision of $100,000 plus was directly impacted by a friend who was able to make the buying decision before he did. I know you don't think about that when you go out to buy a new car, but you do. You roll up in your driveway with it. You get up in the middle of the night to look out there to make sure it's still there and nobody's vandalized it. You wake up in the morning and pinch yourself and think, did I really actually get that new car or that new toy, that new boat, that new RV, that new bicycle, that whatever it is, that new Xbox? You want to make sure it's unplugged every time a thunderstorm comes through, right? Because you just have to confirm in yourself that you actually got this new thing, but you forget that the ripple in the pond around you is that everybody else who's been desiring something like that now feels both challenged because you got it before they did, a little bit threatened that you got it before they did, and a little bit jealous that you got it before they did. But now they're going to go to extra steps, extra lengths to get it as soon as they can. And we forget that the power of that influence, that I did it first, they call that the early adopter. Whether it's an idea, a philosophy, a leadership practice, a management practice, the way that you run your business, a new marketing toy, a new whatever. That new being on the cutting edge, being the first one to adopt it, being the first one to do it. that shapes culture. Yes, it does. And see, the scary part is there are some people who are so well attuned to the idea that if I do it first because I have great influence, someone who has lots and lots of followers on social media might be an example. If I do it first and everybody follows in my footsteps, then I can change the direction of an idea. In fact, if I can hedge off those people who might follow, but I don't really want them to, by dissuading them, it's just too expensive. Oh, I wish I hadn't done it. It was a big cost. I wish I hadn't invested in that particular thing, gold, silver, oil wells, whatever it was, because it's not for everyone. You've probably even heard phrases like that. It's not for everyone. Well, here's the truth. They're intentionally shaping culture so that those who participate, those who play in the game, well, they're the people they want to play in the game. I remember hearing a multimillionaire say one time, if you look back across things like stock trades and the laws of investments and things of that nature, you'll find that there's a phrase called the certified investor. And for legal reasons, a certified investor has a specific threshold to meet to be qualified to pour their money, their life savings, whether it's their retirement or an inheritance or whatever, to pour that into a particular investment vehicle. You've got to be certified to do that. You've got to be qualified to do that. Why? Well, because you don't want just any schmo that just got their life savings handed to them from a passing relative to go dump it all into something and then lose it all and have nothing left. So you want them to be someone who's, has the wherewithal to know what a good investment is, to know what the risk is, and even to know I've got enough that if I pour X amount into this and I lose everything I've invested in that I'm still okay. I'm not going to be in the poorhouse. I'm not going to be standing in a soup kitchen line waiting for a meal with my kids in tow. So there's a good reason to have the certified investor from that perspective. But we also know that the certified investor was a threshold that was set by people who knew they could make it. Oh, yeah. So if you've ever heard the phrase, the rich get richer, the poor go broke, and it's the rich's fault, that may not necessarily be true, but it is true that the certified investor is a certain club that was set up that way. And here's what I heard the multimillionaire say. She said, listen, don't think the system is broken. It's not broken. It was designed to work that way. Why? Because leaders are influencers, and influencers shape culture. I don't care if your maximum amount of influence is the 25,000 people who watch every TikTok you present. You shape culture. Or if the influence that you have is the 50 million people who subscribe to your philosophy, your agenda, your ideology, your thought processes, and they hang on your every word because every book that you publish is an international bestseller. Every podcast you produce has 1 million views in the first hour. It doesn't matter if you own a company that is multinational and generates $500 billion a year and has touch points of contact and marketing with over 1 billion people. I don't care which one of those you are. If you are a leader with influence, you shape culture. My challenge for a lot of leaders is not realizing that they shape culture. They feel like, even as a leader, well, I didn't mean for everybody to go out and do that. I wasn't telling people to invest in this, to buy one of those, to put on the mask, to not take the mask, to get the vaccination or not. I wasn't telling them one way or the other. I just kind of sort of mentioned it. And then they went and did it based on what I said. And that wasn't my intention. Okay, so here's the reality. If you're a leader and you have influence, then you shape culture. This is an if-then statement. It's not a maybe. So the question you need to ask yourself is, knowing that it's a mechanical, functional reality, that if you have influence, then you are a leader, and therefore you shape culture, where are you leading the people you're influencing? Now that is a major question, a major question of both intentionality and responsibility. It really does amaze me the number of people who have leadership influence. Tiny circles, little neighborhood, just your pets. Maybe they're aggressive and they chase people up and down the street like mailmen. Maybe they're sweet and cuddly and everybody that meets your pets wants to be around them. That's a culture that you as a leader, as an influencer, as a parent of pets has created. If you lead a neighborhood or a workers' union or a teachers' union or a working group of people, if you're the boss over a small group of people who, I don't know, maybe you run a Pizza Hut or a McDonald's or a Subway shop, but all the people in your work environment that you lead, even if you're not the manager, but you have influence over these people, you have influence in their lives, the way you treat customers, well, that's probably going to be how they treat customers. Why? Well, because the law of the picture is true. People do what people see. And if the most influential person in the room is a jerk, then most of the people in the room are going to be a jerk. Even if they were nice people before you showed up as a leader, if you act like a jerk, jerk is the way of the day. So if you're the leader and you influence one person, one team of 5, one family of 6, one community of 5,000, one district of 5 million, one state of 50 million, or a global population, you need to understand that every decision you make, every word that comes out of your mouth, every intention of your heart, every attitude you possess shapes, influences culture. Now, if that's not enough to scare the bejeebers out of you, then let me ask yourself this question. I want you to ask yourself this question because I can't ask yourself because I'm not yourself. But I want you to ask yourself the question, if I was aware of the impact, immediate and ripple effect impact, of every thought and decision, every attitude and action in my life, and the resulting reaction for everybody around me, would I still make the decisions that I make today? Would I still speak the words that I speak today? Would I still do what I do today? And if the answer is, having put all that in the light of the amount of influence that I have in the lives that could be impacted by it, I would not have done that again, then maybe it's time that you stop doing that. Take it out of your habits. Stop thinking that way. Change the way you react to other people. Because if you're a leader, that means you have influence. And if you have influence, you shape culture. Are you shaping culture intentionally, the way that you would want to see the results 2 months, 2 years, 2 generations from now? That's the question you need to be asking yourself if you're a leader. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.